Hey everybody, I am your host Alad, YouTube's #1 reporter. Today we're reporting to you from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn at the March for the Dead. I guess it's like a funeral, even though the lockdown is saying we can't do funerals anymore. Let's go talk to some folks, see what's going on. We are out here today for the March for the Dead outside Barclays Center. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here today?
Absolutely. 3 of my friends have lost uncles. My friend Felice, he and his mother and his father all went into the hospital. He and his father came out, so he couldn't be here today. I'm carrying his mother's name. It's just, after 4 days of the DNC, I'm afraid to hope, but I'm trying to channel that into remembrance, into anger, into action. That's what I was raised to do.
I know as of now we have like 170,000 deaths in the U.S. and like 30,000 of those deaths were here in New York. Cuomo said he did a good job with it. That's our governor now. He's actually writing a book about how well New York kind of handled this pandemic. Do you think Andrew Cuomo did a good job, and what would you want to see him have done differently, or what would you have wanted to see Trump do differently here?
I mean, where to begin with Trump? Do differently, not run in the first place, and we wouldn't be here today.
Do you think Trump's like really responsible for how bad the pandemic went, or is this kind of beyond his control?
I mean, yes, I think there's a responsibility lies on all of our leaders as well as in ourselves. That's why we wear masks, you know? I mean, for all of the issues that I have with Cuomo, the fact that we wear it for each other, I think he was very, very good at demonstrating that. You know, I don't always agree with him. He gave the paternal hug that we were so desperately lacking otherwise. So I think, you know, there is duality, there is good and bad in everyone.
I wanted to kind of pivot and ask you a little bit.
Yeah.
Many people are downplaying this pandemic. Since we only have around 170,000 or so deaths, I know we have more deaths due to other diseases. We have like 600,000 a year due to cancer. So what do you say to people who are downplaying this, saying we don't need to lock down and take all these precautions? More people die in other ways.
Sure, people die in other ways. Life is not absolute security, and there is a very real question about what do you open and when. I'm in hospitality. It's all I've ever done. I don't know when I will go back.
Yeah.
Business is gutted, and somebody said to me the other day, a friend of mine from Memphis was like, well, if you guys had indoor dining, I can't guarantee people would be there. You can't guarantee someone isn't going to get cancer. You can't guarantee someone isn't going to get COVID, but you can do your damnedest to prevent that. You can sanitize, you can quarantine, you can wear a damn mask, you can show respect for the people around you and do what you can to do something different, to do something better.
I want to follow up. This will be my last question. I know there's a lot of talk of a vaccine. Many people are a little bit conspiratorial about vaccines. If a vaccine came out, would you take it?
If there was a tested vaccine that was not rushed through, that was not hurried for...
Let's say FDA approved, because any vaccine, right, would be rushed through.
FDA is not exactly a guarantee of, you know, but if Fauci was behind it, I would take it. You know, he helped save my life with HIV, so yeah.
I know at one point, though, they're sending mixed signals, because originally Fauci and the CDC said, we don't need to wear masks, and then they kind of flip-flopped and said, we do need to wear masks.
A pause into, you know, do we need them at this moment? There's some question as to whether that was salient, but does everybody have a perfect speech to toss out at any moment? No.
Do you think that ruins any credibility, though, with like the mixed signaling, especially at the beginning?
I mean, there is mixed signaling and then there is mixed messages. That's a little bit of semantics, but if the message is take care of yourself, take care of each other, and do what we are recommending, people change and people improve. Not everyone does. Trump certainly hasn't.
Is this somebody who passed away?
As I said, this is my friend Felice's mother.
So sorry to hear that. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, thank you very much.
He works for the Trump organization.
Well, I gave him information.
Yeah, but he's going to take your information and twist it around.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope you didn't think I don't work for any Trump organization. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Arrow place. So whatever you're gonna say, he's gonna kind of twist it. So just want to let you know. Well, that's because you got a bad rap.
Conspiracy weirdo. Can you ask her what she means? Because
That's a good rap though.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy talk.
Anyway, we just like to let people know.
Okay.
don't like you. Oh, that's good.
Yo, they're intimidated.
That means you're doing things right.
We're out here today outside the Barclays Center for the March for the Dead. This is coming on the heels, of course, of the COVID pandemic. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here today?
I want to honor the people who died and remember how incompetent the Trump administration's been. This is actually the first demonstration I've been to. I've been afraid of coming out and getting exposed to the virus, but I felt it was worth the risk, to be in solidarity with my fellow New Yorkers, and I know people who've died, and this is the right place to be.
I know New York was one of the hardest places hit. We had 30K plus deaths here in New York. What do you think New York could have done differently, or on Andrew Cuomo's level, or even on the presidential level, the federal level? What could have Trump done differently?
This needed to be done by the federal government and coordinate all the states. So I think the city and the state government have done a lot. They've made some mistakes at the beginning, but it's pretty brilliant. If you look at the bell curve of disease, it's come way down. New York City demonstrates what's possible, what should have been done for the whole country.
I also wanted to ask, because many people are minimalizing this, saying that many other people die from many other diseases more annually. Like 600,000 people die a year annually from cancer or stuff like that. What would you say to somebody who says that the corona pandemic isn't a big deal?
I'm not allowed to use swear words, right?
You could.
They're full of shit. These are avoidable deaths. The cancer deaths weren't avoidable. And to trade off economy versus people's lives is vile. I see nothing that the Republicans have done has been honorable in this case.
I know early on in the pandemic, the CDC and Fauci were sending a little bit of mixed messages on masks. At one point saying they weren't useful, at another point saying they were. Are you concerned about the credibility of these people who are sending mixed messages, kind of flip-flopping on some issues?
That was confusing, and there was also people saying that the disease could live on hard surfaces for a whole day. You still have people washing their groceries and stuff, which seems like a low priority. At this point, people know the masks are the thing to do. There's a demonstrable success in New York City. We should just move forward. Pro-science, not wishful fulfillment, but the real deal.
I had one last follow-up question to that. Let's say Fauci and the CDC approved a vaccine that they kind of rushed through, but it was approved by the CDC. Would you take a vaccine?
I would. I probably wouldn't be the first person to take it, but I'd support it. Once we're into that phase, we're going to control the disease better, but it'll be a little scary for a few weeks as they start it out.
Yeah. Do you think schools should be reopened?
I like our mayor. I like what he's doing. He's giving the parents, he's giving the parents the option to, you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I don't mind, but I don't want to, you're an older gentleman.
I'm okay.
Good, yeah.
I think the mayor's been smart, giving the parents the choice. That's about the best we can do right now.
Yeah.
I used to work for the city government and the school system, and it's a huge, huge system. And to make enough space for people to distance is going to be a challenge.
I know many teachers are saying that their lives are at risk by going back to school. Do you think that's valid, or do you think they're kind of doing this at the expense of the students they should be teaching?
I think it's valid, and especially you have a lot of both my parents were teachers, and I think about what they were doing in their late 60s. So it's a moving target, but I think it can be worked out by reasonable people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. Tell me a little bit more about why you're out here today.
Well, I'm out here because of the situation. Since day one of this presidency, it was bad. He didn't accept the results of the election. He called fraud. And he had a phony election commission look into it. And I thought, well, it can't get any worse. But every day it got worse, every day. And going into the fourth year. And I can't take it anymore. And
I know, oh yeah.
No.
I wanted to say, I know we had 30,000 deaths here in New York City, 170,000 deaths throughout the United States. I know Andrew Cuomo recently went on to give a speech at the DNC. He's coming out with a book about how well he handled the pandemic. So do you think Cuomo could have handled this pandemic any better?
Yeah, I think he could. He's kept us safe so far. I'm in the restaurant business.
Absolutely gutted.
Yeah, and we can't reopen, and I don't know how many of us are going to even open again.
Yeah.
But it's not his fault.
Do you think the lockdown is effective?
I do.
Absolutely.
I do.
I also wanted to ask, so I know many people are saying that many people die from other diseases a lot more often annually. Cancer has something like 600,000. What do you say to detractors who say the pandemic is being overblown?
I don't know any other disease that's so easily caught and has gone through, killed so many people in such a short time. What other disease? And we've seen them all here.
I know in the early stages of the pandemic, we're getting mixed messages from Fauci and the CDC about mask wearing. Do you still have faith in these guys after they said masks weren't effective and then masks were effective?
Well, I do have faith in them. It was confusing at first with don't wear a mask and then wear a mask. But I accept the reason. It was valid. And he's been a straight arrow since.
If Fauci approved the vaccine, would you take the vaccine?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, I have concerns that it may not work on me. But other than that, I mean, that's just a self-concern.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I don't want you to miss the march. Thank you. We're out here in front of the Barclays Center. We just had the march for all the people who died in the pandemic here in New York City. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you came out here?
Well, I came out here. We sell T-shirts and stuff, and we give money to Act Blue and Black Voters Matter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about a Democrat then. We're here in New York City. We have Andrew Cuomo as our governor. He says he handled the pandemic really well. We had 30,000 deaths here. What do you make of that?
I think he did better than everybody else, so I'm not disappointed in him compared to what everybody else
With 30,000 deaths, you think he did a good job?
I don't think he did a good job, but it could have been a lot worse. So, I mean, I think he messed up with the nursing homes. Thank you for finishing my sentence. Yeah. But other than that, I think he shut us down properly and way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I know we still have schools shut down. They're debating opening those. What do you make of the lockdown? Should we still be locked down, or are lockdowns effective?
I'm worried about it coming back. So, yeah, I like the lockdown, but the school, I got 3 kids in school, so I was hoping that we'd get back, but I don't think nobody wants to go back, so that's a problem.
I know the average age of death in the United States for the coronavirus is around 78. Here in New York City, it's even higher than that. With a disease that's really only targeting and harming older people, does it make sense for us to be going to these extreme conditions for the pandemic?
Yes, I think so, especially with the older people dying. Yeah, I got no problem with it.
Yeah. I know in the beginning of the pandemic, Fauci was on the fence of whether or not masks work. Originally, he said they don't work and not to get them. And then he said to get the masks and wear them. Do you have faith in these guys after they flip-flop like that?
Yes, 100%.
If Fauci said, we have a vaccine ready, would you take the vaccine for you and your family?
Yes, I would.
You have no concerns about the vaccine? You have a lot of faith?
I have concerns. I have kids, but no, I think I would do it.
Absolutely.
If it came out early, though, honestly, I'd be worried about a Trump-pushed vaccine early on.
True.
But
assuming Fauci gives his seal of approval.
Yes, then that, yes.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments. If this is your first time here, guys, please sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay barely informed.